has been with Bloom almost since our beginning. Starting, he says, when Bloom met at Palapis Art Garden in nursery, and counted with quiet delight the roadrunners who scampered in front of the music stand pulpit during Rev Kev's early, earnest commentaries. Dick has been doing interfaith readings since the early days. Several years ago, he ran a month-long Sunday school series on understanding Islam, filling every seat. Dick is a Yale Divinity School graduate and a long-term snowbird to Palm Springs from his home state of Maine. He traditionally preaches a sermon or two during the season and has led in his home, nicknamed Coach Karma, an annual reading discussion group featuring a book that always pushes the envelope regarding traditional Christianity. And speaking of pushing the envelope, Dick is usually seen as the animated caboose of the Mardi Gras Sunday parade, comically bringing alive the phrase gender fluid. We never know quite what he's going to do at Bloom, but I'm happy to say he always checks with Rev Kev before he proceeds. Without further ado, Dick Merle.
Good morning. Good morning. It is a delight to be here, and let me tell you what led to my being up front today. We will call this commentary light, and this happened because Linda, our very efficient worship and education chairman, and Rev Kev came to me and said, you know, spring fling really knocks everybody out. And in fact, Rev Kev is sitting back there rather ill this morning. We hope you're okay too. And he said, everyone's exhausted after spring fling. Would you mind subbing for me the Sunday after spring fling? Delighted to. And then a little later, he called and said, oh, by the way, it's Communion Sunday. So the sermon has to be really short. A max of 10 minutes, difficult. So everyone's exhausted. I have to be short. And then I walked in this morning and Rev Kev said, oh, by the way, there's no sound at all. So just shout whatever you're going to do. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, whenever I'm pushed into a tough corner like that, I get to thinking, and I first thought of a Sunday school teacher I heard about a couple of years ago, who was with little tykes in her class, and she said, why is it that we are all supposed to be quiet when we go into worship upstairs in church? And one little kid says, well, I think it's because everyone else is pretty much asleep. Well, so I thought, okay, I've got to be lively also to keep everyone awake if it's possible. And that is what we are trying to do today. Whenever I'm in a tough position like this, since I was a little kid, I go to the piano for my refuge. Now, I was a serious asthmatic as a little kid. And so my parents got together and said, what are we going to do about this kid? He can't go out and sort of exert any energy because he's wheezing so badly all the time. And so they got together and they decided, well, let's put him on the piano. And whenever the other boys are out playing ball, we can put Dick at the piano. Well, that was really good for me because I was always the last to be picked for the softball team. And usually I was playing with the girls. So that was a very good thing that I had to be at the piano. I couldn't be out playing softball and all that sort of thing. And then when I was, my dear mother sat at the piano bench with me with the metronome an hour each day except for Sunday for 8 years. 8 years. I mean, she just never missed. I wanted to miss a lot. But she didn't. And finally I grew accustomed to it. She said, just be patient. Because, you know, when you get to high school, you're going to be the life of every party. Well, when I got to high school, I wasn't really the life of everybody, but I started writing little topical fun songs, at least some fun for me. And then when I went on to Duke to university, I did write a full Broadway type show of my own songs and music and lyrics. And lo, when I went to Yale Divinity School, I wrote the Yale Divinity Follies. And the lead of the Follies was B. Davy Napier, who was head of Old Testament. And he wrote his own introduction song, which was, Adam Didn't Have No Mammy. And that set the low tone. But then I was lucky to get a job right after Yale Divinity, working in the Yale College admissions office. My boss there, the Dean of Admissions, who I helped eulogize just last summer, he lived a long, long time, he said he'd heard that I write songs. Why don't you write a little ditty about the Yale admissions so you can play it when you go to alumni meetings, and that would be kind of fun. Well, the song, I wrote it, and it was fun. And that was sort of like, I'm a Yale admissions man, and the going's rough. I'm looking for great depth and breadth, really top drawer stuff. Now that's the level of songwriting that I've been doing since the 50s. Well, for this morning, since it's supposed to be a worship service, I thought, why don't I pause and think of what I'm most grateful for? And this is rather selfish, I must say, but what am I personally most grateful for? And the thing I'm most grateful for is the blessing of living into old age. I somehow never thought it. The three mall men before me all died at 61 at their desks, and I'm now in my early 80s. And so here we are in old age, and I'm so grateful for that. And that's the first song. The second song, I said to myself, who was the person that had the greatest influence on my life? And clearly it was my mother. It was Mom. And so the second song is in honor of Mom and her patience and her liveliness. So here are my two little ditties. Are there any other octogenarians in the congregation today? Oh yeah, oh yes, hands up please. Yes, good, thank you. Not alone. This is an anthem to octogenarians. Give me an E. E is for the evening of my lifetime. I is for indulgence. Yes, there's a little indulgence along the way. G is for the goodness that surrounds us. H is for the humor. Oh, thank God for the humor of each day. T is for the tenacity we must muster. Y is for life's yin-yang interplay. And you put those all together, they spell 80, 80, 80, 80, 80. I made it. I made it. And so can all of you if you'll just do this. If you'll get up in the morning and say quietly to yourself, God wants me to think for myself and to live for others. And then God will also say, make the most, the very most of every day. And now to the mothers. I think we all know that fathers are always a force in every family, whether they're absent or present. They're a force. But it's the mothers, is it not, who give the special little push to the children. And it's the mothers who really sometimes push a lot to the children. And we're very grateful for that, very grateful for that. I think mothers and I think women are pretty much taking over the world these days. And aren't we lucky that we are in a nation where we're in a religion where not only is that allowed, unlike in many other places, but it's encouraged that women can take over the nation and the world. We're also lucky, I think, that mothers often start their leadership campaign just in dealing with the children. And aren't we lucky that children often through mom learn self-assertion, self-analysis, self-discipline, and almost always real ambition. So to all the mothers, and to my mother Margaret, here's a little ditty. It's called, "Don't Clap Mom Till I Take My Bow." I remember your mama, right from the start. You always did say, I deserved a lead part. You thought I'd make Broadway, but it's Demuth Park somehow. Don't clap on until I take my bow. The lights are all set now, and I am on stage. You always did say that I'd be a rage. I'm a little old to do this, but let's try to show them how. Don't clap, Mom, until I take my bow. I'll be harmonizing, I'll be dramatizing, but my talents aren't what you think they are. Or, Mom, I'd be a star. You thought I'd make Stanford or UCLA, no and no. But look, Mom, I made COD. That means Bloom's Cathedral of the Desert. COD, Cathedral of the Desert. And so what more can I say? So hold her down, Papa, and calm her somehow. Don't clap, Mom, until I take my hold her down, Papa, and calm her somehow. What more can you do? I made Demuth Park. I made the UCCOD, UCC, Cathedral of the Desert. And so you can clap. You can clap now.